Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Mike Benitez. Today we're going to do another ship bios video. Today we're going to be doing a ship bios video of the third ship involved in the last battle of the German battleship Bismarck and sinking her. This British ship was called HMS Norfolk. Let's get on with the story, shall we? Norfolk was part of the Town class of subclass cruisers, which means the Town class had several versions. Norfolk was part of this version along with her other sister, Dorsetshire, which was also part of the German battleship Bismarck. We will be talking about her in the next video. Construction began on HMS Norfolk in 1927, and Norfolk was finished and commissioned by 1930. From 1930 until 1932, Norfolk served with the Home Fleet until she went to the American and Western Indies in 1932, where she would stay there until 1934. In 1939, Norfolk was put in for a refit. It was during this time that World War II was announced. One of the first missions of World War II for HMS Norfolk was to hunt down the German battleships Admiral Scheer, Scharnhorst, and Gneisenau. She received damage, so she had repairs. She also had a near miss with a torpedo from U-47, the submarine which would later sink HMS Royal Oak. Until 1941, Norfolk was put on several missions to find German ships, like the Admiral Scheer and the German cruiser Cormoran. She either suffered little or no damage, but her most famous battle will be with the legendary battleship Bismarck. In May of 1941, Norfolk and her near sister Suffolk were put on the mission to hunt down the German battleship Bismarck, but each had a close encounter. Probably the most close call was Norfolk, when she went into the fog along with her sister to get away from Bismarck. But then, when she came out of the fog, she was right in front of Bismarck's guns. Bismarck didn't hesitate and started to fire. The shells only straddled Norfolk's deck, and she was able to get away without any significant damage. A few days later, on May 27th, 1941. HMS Norfolk, along with her other sister HMS Dorsetshire, and the German battleship and the British battleships Rodney and King George V, were able to sink the Bismarck. Even though Norfolk's guns were 6-inch, she would still be able to put a heavy pounding into the Bismarck's upper decks. From September onward, HMS Norfolk will be put on convoy duties in the Arctic. There, she and Dorsetshire will be heavily damaged by bombs by Japanese, Germans, and other planes. On December 26, 1943, the Norfolk was part of the cruisers of convoy JW-55B when they engaged the German battleship cruiser Scharnhorst. She was able to Norfolk was able to hit the Scharnhorst 3 times, but actually, every single hit that went into the Norfolk from Scharnhorst never exploded. They just went right through the ship, pretty much because the Norfolk was had thin armor. It was after the encounter with Norfolk that Scharnhorst was finally sunk by the battleship HMS Duke of York and her escorting cruisers and escorts. And this battle will be known as the Battle of the North Cape. 36 German prisoners were the only survivors of the 2,000 people on board Scharnhorst, but we'll get that in another story. After the battle with Scharnhorst, Norfolk was put in for repairs. This left her out of the famous Battle of D-Day in 1944. Norfolk will later become the flagship of Operation Judgment in the British Navy. After receiving a refit, she would have the most glamorous voyage in her life. and that was to bring back the royal family of Norway from Oslo after their 5-year exile in London. After that, Norfolk would spend the rest of of World War II as the flagship of second in command of rear in command East Indies Station. Things would later go downhill for HMS Norfolk. In 1949, HMS Norfolk was put on reserve, and in January of 1950, she was sold for scrap. Scrap began on the 22nd of February, 1950. She received the Norfolk lineage, which was the rewards of her battles. And here are the awards: Atlantic, 1941; Bismarck action, 1941; North Africa, 1942; Arctic, 1943; North Cape, 1943; and Norway, 1943. I'm surprised she had these rewards, even though she had little armament. Thank you guys for hearing the story of the heroic story of the British warship HMS Norfolk. I'm surprised that when she saw Bismarck and got in front of Bismarck, she would have been sunk. But luckily, she survived and she remained in service for 22 years. Thank you guys for watching this video. In the next video, we'll be talking about HMS Dorsetshire, Norfolk's sister, and the last ship involved in the last battle of the German battleship Bismarck. Have a nice day, everybody. This is Mike Benitez signing out on the story of HMS Norfolk.